What's up, Sonic movie fans? Welcome to episode 137 of the Sonic Movie Show. My name is Ethan, and with me here to go Postal is Devin.
I don't got a quote for this movie.
Yeah, fuck this movie.
I didn't write anything down. Oh, I did write things down, but I didn't write a quote down because there's nothing in here that I really found. Like, there's maybe like two jokes throughout this entire film that I found like even remotely like, okay, that was clever or that was funny. I chuckled. Most of this was like, I'm like, oof. But once I found out that the director of this film also did Blood Rain,
and
then it explained a lot. And
explained
a lot.
Yeah, we're gonna have a word about him. But yes, Devin and I on the Sonic Movie Show, a show that usually covers Sonic news, movie news, and Sonic movie news.
And Sonic Nudes.
And Sonic Nudes. We also like to review video game movies, like as in movies adapted from video games themselves, whether that be great hits like Sonic the Hedgehog and Silent Hill and Street Fighter and the drudges of humanity like Assassin's Creed, Monster Hunter, and Blood Rain. Well, we're down there in the bottom today. We watched the 2007 movie Postal. This movie, Devin, made in box office $146,000.
Yeah, what's funny is like, okay, for like even like more like indie films, you say 146 and you're like million, right? And then it's like nope. This poof. That's like some people's like salary, like household salary for the year. One like a household of four that like that's their. And this, at least I will say that like this movie compared to Blood Rain, because I think we can compare them, obviously with the with the same director and writer, is that the budget looked a little bit bigger on this one compared to Blood Rain. So the fact that they didn't make any... How much money did Blood Rain make? I hope it made more than that.
Blood Rain made $3.6 million.
Sheesh.
Now, Blood Rain also has Mads Mikkelsen. No, not Mads Mikkelsen. Michael Madsen. Sorry. As Michael Madsen, it has... what's his name? Oh my god. He was the vampire bad guy. Whatever his name was. A famous actor.
Not Meatloaf.
Whatever. And it also had Meatloaf, you know what I mean? And it had our girl, Michelle Rodriguez, obviously.
Unfortunately, for her sake. Thank
God that
didn't affect her career. Let's be real.
Yes. This movie had the guy from A Bug's Life, and that's it.
Well, no. So our main guy, and then the one guy who owns the store, both were in Home Alone.
Really?
Yes, both were in Home Alone. Then you also had the guy from Spider-Man, who plays James and whatever his name is.
Yes. What's his name? He's also in Legend of Korra. He's in a bunch of stuff. Yeah, they basically got him to just do J. Jonah Jameson, but like super anarchistic, left-leaning political.
I wouldn't even say that. More of just like I think peak 2007 conspiracy theory, like.
But he was right, technically, because the movie is weird. It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot. Like, he was in it, but he wasn't in a major role, and that's why I guess I forgot.
But yeah, like, the main guy and the guy who owned the store were both in Home Alone.
In Home Alone or Home Alone? Like, who was
the first
this?
Home Alone.
Yeah, who were they?
I don't remember the exact character names.
I guess it doesn't really matter.
But the shop owner, he was in all Home Alone movies.
I did actually I thought I recognized him. But yeah, this movie made $146,000.
He is also in Blood Rain, the main guy. At some point.
Ugh. You know, Blood Rain was just a year prior to this movie.
He's Marv.
I don't fucking remember.
He's one of the... I think so, right?
Yeah, our director here, I guess I'd always called him Uwe Boll, but the movie pronounces it Uwe Boll or whatever. He made a bunch of movies in a row, like in a row. House of the Dead, 2003. Alone in the Dark, 2005. Blood Rain 2006, House of the Dead 2 2006, Postal 2007, Blood Rain 2 2007, Alone in the Dark 2 2008. Like he's just all jam packed in a row. I wonder how much of this was just working on different things all at once. And I don't necessarily want to say what's the source of why they're bad and maybe point to this. I think there's a bunch of reasons why they're bad. And I think, our director's style and ruining video games might be the reason. But this $146,000, I think I need to point out, I'm pretty sure, and we could look this up, it did not have an actual like full-on showing in theaters. Like this might have been a Germany only thing, and it was just on DVD. Because as we kind of know, this guy likes the idea of movies being on DVD and people buying DVD movies that look interesting and are cheap, But yeah. So Postal, I know you're looking something up, but Postal is a video game series that I am aware of, never played any. I can't even really say I know too much about them to really form like a negative opinion on them, in the sense of like, all I know is that if you're like the PC gamer and you've gone through the gaming history of PC games, like you liked playing all of the immersive sims throughout the ages, and you liked playing like games PC was known for in the 90s and early 2000s, and that like you probably played Postal 2 and you probably thought, oh, that was kind of funny, and that was it. It's like cult classic, like not even as big as a cult classic, like it's an okay thing. You know what I mean? People that like it way too much, maybe you don't want to talk to them. But like it's one of those, like, it's a goofy idea that's absurd. You're basically, it's immersive sim-ish. You're just this dude in this town. You have a list of stuff you're supposed to do by the end of the week. And, people are provoking you. People are being assholes to you. If you choose violence, and the game ramps up in what it throws back at you. How much abuse are you willing to take type of thing. Yeah,
and back to the thing. I was on mobile, and I feel like maybe I got through too many feeds on mobile, but Eric Avari, who, if I remember correctly, is the shop owner. He's in Home Alone 4, and I thought Zach... 4? Yeah, and I thought Zach Ward, the main guy, I thought I saw that he was in one of the Home Alone movies, but maybe I'm getting everyone... It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. I don't really think anyone's...
4 Home Alones is blowing my brain. I thought there were only 2.
I will say this. I don't really blame the actors for this movie at all. I don't blame the cast and crew. I blame the top guy. I blame everyone who approved this movie and the script. I blame those people, because these people need to eat.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the director doesn't need to eat, but like they could have made something else.
Right.
With this cast.
Yeah. So
but yeah, I was gonna say my journey with Postal is I've seen a streamer play it in the past, or on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like I feel like every YouTuber from 2015 played Postal at some point. So I've seen it, and I get the general gist. It's just a wannabe, like more edgy Grand Theft Auto kind of, gimmick, I would say. Almost, it's just you piss on people, you shoot people, and
right, like Duke Nukem, but not fun to play. And like the old Duke Nukem's not the one that came out on the Xbox 360 or anything like that. Like, yeah. So and there was the Postal one was like an isometric shooter. Yeah, kind of like if Diablo had guns, I guess, so to speak. And that game ended with you shooting up an elementary school. So, yeah, re-releases of that game don't have that part in it. I think for obvious reasons, whether or not it's okay because the game isn't real or not, but still. So yeah, this movie, I mean, like, I don't really want to recap it all this much. What this movie is I guess kind of following the ideas behind Postal 2. There is terrorists. There are a hippie cult. There is an obsession over this toy thing. There is it's like, I forget. Oh, the what was it? The welfare check line place, whatever that place is. that's like a level or something like that.
I was gonna say, I feel like it felt like that.
Yeah,
that was
like
the thing. So.
it's that stuff in there, and it follows this guy, and he lives a pretty shitty life, and the world just sucks. And he teams up with, like I said before, the guy who was the main character in A Bug's Life and then nothing else, to just make a lot of money. And it's just... So I texted you 3 minutes into this movie, after 9/11 happened. Hey, I think this movie might be politically incorrect in all the wrong ways. And I want to stress what I mean by that. Because I don't want to say there are right ways to be politically incorrect. I think there are harmless ways to be politically incorrect in humor and jokes, depending on the setting, depending on the context, depending on
the
what
audience,
you're actually the content.
Yeah.
Right.
Context is so important in comedy. Like, I think,
exactly.
I'm not saying we're comedy experts by any means, but just
not by any means.
But exactly. I think that, like, for a lot of especially white men, they think that just being edgy at all times is humor, or people who are famous comedians now who've gone over the deep end, in my opinion, just think that this is how they make their career now. And it's just, context is so key. You can be people are being offensive just to be offensive half the time with this kind of shit.
The shock value for the sake, like, that isn't funny. Like, what legit, like, thinking about all of the random joke settings and setups and just the weird little things that happen that are just self-contained jokes, they strike me as people that watched South Park back in the late 90s and early 2000s and wanted to do that but had no talent. And, like, I'm not going to go out and say South Park isn't deplorable, and I don't think it's also amazing. It's somewhere in between, depending on the era and what's going on, because sometimes there's really funny, smart, and actually kind of not wholesome, but, like, the right things are being said. And then there's, like, the super libertarian, you shouldn't care about anything, everyone sucks in ways that aren't, like, South Park goes everywhere, but, like, you know, there's good shit in there and there's bad shit. So I guess my point. But this movie looks like, let's just make that.
Well, I saw that I don't know if it was on, because we watched it on Tubi, the unrated version.
Oh God, and I wish I watched a rated version.
Yeah, and I think somewhere on there it said that, like, a review tagline, like something you'd put on the DVD or whatever, said that, like, this South Park of video game movies or something to that extent.
Oh, really?
So that's funny you mentioned that, because that was how they described it.
I didn't see that. I saw on the box for, I think, the DVD, it said, some comedies go too far.
Yeah, I saw
Others
that.
Start there. And I'm like, yep, you are so not seeing the point right now, type of thing. If you think that you're going too hard, you know, then maybe you're not. Maybe you're just being awful. But yeah, and it sounds like we're just being like, like, you know, wet blankets or whatever.
I'll say, like I said, there were some jokes I did find, like I said, there's some jokes in here that I thought were fine, or like, okay.
Same. I don't want to give them too much credit, though, because the intent isn't necessarily what's going on.
Yeah.
But, like, what this movie does is it has instances, and like I said, often politically incorrect, and just the instance and what you're seeing is just supposed to be funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
His really obese wife in the trailer. That's just meant to be funny. And, like, if she does something, then I guess that could be funny. But her existence is meant to be funny. You know, the fact that people are sleeping with his wife, that is supposed to be funny. But it's never even presented in anything other than this is what's happening. And it's just in a shock value type of thing. Like I said, the beginning with the terrorists, like, literally, this is 9/11 from the inside of the plane type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, that was just there just to be there. I
feel, and like, they stretch.
I feel like we've also seen that idea too, that, like, the joke of, like, oh, they're actually idiots, you know what I mean? Like, that type of thing. But, like, I don't know.
But also, that joke goes on way too long. Like,
yes,
okay, you're doing the virgin joke. You're making fun of maybe radical Islam, even though I think borderline you're making fun of Islam in general. I feel like, because that was peak 2007 Americans in general.
Yeah.
You were like, oh, their religion, it doesn't make any sense. Like, okay, congrats.
And they try to throw that around on Christianity at the end, but like I don't buy.
I don't buy it either.
Buy it.
No,
Yeah,
I don't.
You know? It would be one thing if like Bush did stuff that it seemed weird and it was because of Catholicism. Or
that was one of the few
whatever
things I'll give the movie prop for. I feel like the guy, the makeup and stuff they did for Bush looked pretty good.
Pretty convincing, yeah.
Like I'm like, oh,
yeah,
like good, fuck Bush, and they make fun of him in it by him. Oh, he's being buddy with Osama, which is at the we lived through that, and I know we were younger in this when this movie came out, but like even then as a kid, I still knew like that was kind of like a conspiracy theory kind of thing that like
it was the fun like joke thing to say of
Yeah.
like Bush did 9/11, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in here, like, yes, I guess.
he like they're both in on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To stay
But you don't really see what
power or whatever
Bush
it is.
wants
Yeah.
out of it because whatever. And then and then this movie has a cop that shoots a lady that won't go on green.
Oh, but
Just because-
let me be specific here. An Asian lady who's speaking Mandarin or whatnot, and we can't understand her. They do this joke again, and it's weird that the two Asian characters in this movie both don't understand English and are stereotypes, and they both die. Weird.
Yeah.
Weird. Definitely not something there, perhaps.
Oh, but it's okay. The German director made fun of Germany by having Little Germany. Oh, sure. Whatever.
I will
like
get
I said,
more into that because I have a big hunch, and I have more stuff to back up my hunch about this
Okay,
man
I'm
and his
interested in
German heritage.
I'm interested in hearing about that. Other things before we get there, the hippie love fest type of thing, like that honestly feels very tame just because it's presented in a way where it's like hey, these people's choices, like people join that type of
Call
stuff
it the
because that's their
organic
choice.
monotheism was like the name of the event or religion or whatever you want to call it.
Hey, like here's a good example of, and I haven't played this in years, so let me preface this. A good example of harmless, politically incorrect is Destroy All Humans 2 with its hippie stuff. It's making fun of that idea, but it's just like, yeah, that is goofy. Like there's hippies on all the 5 different countries you go to or whatever it was, 4 or 5, however many it was. But even just like the San Francisco area, like that was funny.
Yeah.
Even though it is like literally like you could angle it like the Republican era making fun of the hippies, like the Reagan era. Like what was that show with the guy that played Back in the Future, whatever. He had a sitcom where it was like, his parents were the hippie generation, but he's the fiscally responsible Reagan voting son.
I have no idea.
And like the joke was the hippies, like that's definitely like the the conservatives like slander on hippies, but like that game presents it as like, yeah, this is really goofy. You know what I mean? And this movie is very tame with the idea, besides the fact that then they're a religious death cult that's going to kill themselves. But like, whatever. That's probably like the tamest it is, and it's all on white people. There is a guy that is in one of those motorized chairs you have a little like joystick to
thing,
move around with. And he's called the R word a lot, and he's basically a vegetable. I guess he should be in the hospital, but no, the cop is using him to get $13
At least it's
a day
anti-cop.
from.
I'll give it that.
I guess. Yeah.
Loosely.
I guess. There is all of the people on welfare are awful and crazy and types of things. Even our main guy doesn't actually seem to give a shit in ways that I don't necessarily find him likable.
But yeah, at the same time, there's moments where it's like, it's kind of like anti-corporation when you have that job interview and making fun of like,
Yeah.
that like it's over the top. You need to pledge allegiance. You're gonna be working here till you die. I'm like, okay, cool. And I thought the interview scene was kind of had funny moments. I don't think it was perfect, but had like I liked when the lady there was asking him like, what is duck? And he's like, what? She's like, wrong. He kept moving on. Like I thought that was a funny bit, So it's like I'm like there's moments there, but it's like but then it'll go too much more on other ways too. I feel like that makes me question the director's opinions on things a little bit, but I don't know. I don't want to stretch it. And I think that's the thing with like South Park, right? Is that they try to poke fun at everyone. Everyone's fair game. And that's not easy to do, in my opinion. Sometimes that's why it's easier to just not punch down at all.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I feel like there's
that
moments
punch
of
down thing
that.
is very, very important because while I personally believe that there are South Park episodes that are punch down episodes, there's a lot of punch up episodes in every direction.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what they're trying to do. So I like, once again, going back to like this the South Park comparison, I feel like they try to do that, but I feel like they sit on certain things a little bit too long. It makes me question the intention a little bit more.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that's
some
the
of it's like,
important thing.
what's the point of this scene? To make fun of the fact that this guy is essentially a vegetable in the chair, like he's just gone. And that's funny. You know what I mean? Oh, and it's funny because he got hit in the woods or something with a bicycle or something like that, and that's funny. Weird. And then the raped by monkeys thing, that was when I was like, there was no setup to this. This is just what would be funny. Let's just
what would be like a really like fucked up situation? Raped by monkeys.
Great. Oh, and again, it's a little person, so he can't defend himself. That's funny, right? And it's like, it's just very, very, very like, was there no one else to edit this script, this ideas? Was it just...
Well, it said it was him and one other person were like the writers for this movie. So it was two people.
Ooh. Ugh. Oh my God.
This is why you have multiple people in a writer's room if you can, and especially if you're going to be dealing with this kind of stuff, and maybe having people whose either identities or life experiences relate to some of the things you're making fun of, to maybe keep you on your in a fair comedic outlook on things. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to make fun of this group of people, maybe have a comedic writer who makes those kind of jokes normally, to be like, hey, is this too far? Is this good? Okay,
Yeah. You say everything right there. Like, sure, like that's if you actually want to go, and I don't want to say the extra mile because that should be standard. If you're going to tackle subjects that are unrelated to you. Actually, fun fact, I watched on Disney Plus that latest Pixar movie, Turning Red. It was a cute little movie. There were some fun moments in it, and some of it was for me, some of it wasn't, right? In the credits, they had a cultural consultation team or whatever. It's like, oh, and it was like 6 people or something like that, whatever. But like, oh, that's just like, hey, is this good? Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we're going to make this movie about Japanese history. We're not going to hire anyone who has that either knowledge or experience as a Japanese person or is born in Japan. Nothing. We're just going to do that. That's what this felt like for a lot of the shit. Like, oh, trailer park white trash. That's a thing in America. Okay.
Yeah, and I get it. Like, that was in the game. Some of the stuff's in the game.
I get it, yes.
Doesn't necessarily excuse, This movie has a budget, apparently, of $15 million.
That's so much money.
So it made less than 1%.
I will say I do see, according to Wikipedia, of the director, which is Uwe Boll, is how you pronounce it, that he actually tried to do a sequel to this movie and do a Kickstarter campaign, which got about $500,000, but then it was canceled on October 5th of 2013, 2 months after it started.
2 months after it started, you get 30 days, so that's weird. Whatever. Yeah, Kickstarter kind of sucks for that reason because, like, you are giving away the money. If it fails, if it gets canceled, if anything like that, like, there's no obligation to pay you back, as far as I'm aware.
When was this movie
That's
made
why
again?
This is 2007, but
also
it would have probably
according to
started in 2006, maybe.
Wikipedia, it says in October 2016, during an interview with the Toronto edition of Metro, Boll announced his retirement from filmmaking, chiefly citing the decline of DVD and Blu-ray sales, noting that he had to use his own money to finance his work since 2005. So at this point, out of his own pocket, was he paying a couple mil?
And he has some high opinions of himself as evident in this movie. And I know you're going to talk about it, so I'll let you do that. But what I want to say first, though, is that your director has a cameo, your this has a cameo, or that has a cameo in the movie, right? And they're playing themselves and very meta, like, you are doing the thing and you're in this movie for the thing, whatever, right? In many instances, that is presented as a look at how stupid I am. This is my life or whatever. Like, it's meant like you are the joke because you're the boss, and that's called punching up, right? I think in his mind that is what he's doing. However, I think what I see is him just being like, yeah, I am great. The fact that the dude said hit video game movies and hit movies is factually false.
Yeah.
That's factually false, right? They did not make, and none of them made their money back. They're all critically panned and commercially panned, etc., right? But like that is just he thinks he's great type of thing. So when I saw that, I'm like, this guy really does think that he's a kick-ass, edgy movie director. Ugh.
All I was going to say is, if we want to kind of dive into his reputation here, and I'm going to start with just stuff that is from Wikipedia of comments made by folks. So I did see here, as part of a publicity stunt for Postal, Boll released a video claiming that he's the only genius in the whole fucking movie business.
Okay.
And then other directors, and he calls out them, such as Michael Bay and Eli Roth, are fucking our words. He promised that his film Postal would be way better than all social critic George Clooney bullshit that you get every fucking weekend. In response to an anti-Uwe Boll online petition, which is funny, at this time someone was starting a petition to have this man stop making movies.
Hey, like, fuck this guy.
Boll has also expressed hopes that someone would start a pro-Boll petition, which he'd expect to hit 1 million signatures. As of July 22nd, 2012, the pro petition with most signatures is the Long Live Uwe Boll, Paul, blah, 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 whatever. But Michael Bay responded to his comments and called him
who?
And he said a sad being. He called him a sad being.
Nice.
And stated that he did not care in the slightest about the remark. While Roth facetious, whatever the fucking word is, described Boll's comments as the greatest compliment ever. And then Boll said that he meant it to be a generic picture over Hollywood and they had nothing against the people mentioned. Or maybe those were just the biggest directors at the time and you're mad. He then appeared on Attack of the Show, and he was interviewed in The Nude comedy. And then in the very end, he said that both Bay and Eli Roth have a sense of humor, or that Roth has a sense of humor, but Bay has no sense of humor. And then he believes that his upcoming...
he thought that, like, they didn't laugh at me because I called them the R word?
Yeah. This is where it gets good. He had jokingly said that he believes the upcoming adaptation of Postal, the video game with the same name, could be Indiana Jones in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in the box office.
That's great. I mean, that movie's also bad, but there's good things in it.
And then Bay, there was some more beef with him and Bay. And in fact, Boll offered to challenge Bay to a boxing match in Las Vegas. And if Bay accepted, the match would last for 12 rounds and would take place in September of 2008. And Bay just said the statement, "I've never heard his name till last week when he made threats and rants. The guy is a fucking idiot. Makes threats to me, Clooney, Eli Roth. Says he has a doctorate, but uses the word blah in his vocabulary. Come on." Mm-hmm. When you look at his videos, what is interesting are the backgrounds. I guess his low-rent offices with 15-year-old, 15-old 3/4 of machines, archaic computers. This is just a dumb chump trying to get some fame when he has none. So he has to make YouTube lame quality anger rants. This guy just wants attention because he can't get any for the so-called movies he makes. Nothing sadder when he had his screening in LA to over a half-empty movie house. So Bay went for the he gave him a chance to chill.
Like, hey, go the fuck away.
And then he just went for the killing blow.
Yeah.
And
damn.
Like I said, that poll was getting a certain amount of votes. But I wanted to go into the Nazi shit. I'm going to say it. I think this guy wants to be a Nazi, or at least has indirectly Nazi sympathies, because in this movie, he makes jokes. He's from Germany. So first off, there's some, I guess you can say...
there's some assumed passes being given.
Yeah,
that he gets to give himself,
because Germans can make fun of themselves. I think they have the right to make fun of their own history, and they do. There's been plenty of examples. There's a movie I saw called I forgot the name of the movie. Sorry, but it's basically Hitler comes back, he wakes up from the dead as if he doesn't know what happened, but he just wakes up from the dead, and it's him exploring Germany. It's on Netflix. I think it's called He's Back or something like that. But it's a dark comedy. But they make it clear that, no, this guy is evil, and it's about that whole journey, and eventually, people, I think he dies or something, whatever, it doesn't matter. But it's a good movie. I hope so. But, okay. In this movie, he has a scene where he talks about, oh, how do you keep funding your movies? Oh, with the Nazi gold, basically, that's the punchline. Someone's got to use it. But then at the end credits, there's an extended version of that scene. And there's more Nazi jokes, one in particular where a supposedly Jewish woman or someone comes up and says, my mother died in Auschwitz or whatever. Shame on you for doing this. And he says, oh, my grandfather died too. And then she's like, how? Oh, he fell off the tower on duty or whatever.
The watchtower. Yeah.
Yeah, my grandpa's a Nazi. Yeah, that's a cool thing to joke about in a fun way. But there's been other movies where...
Can I real quick
interject?
'Cause I don't know if you know this. So she says, my father died in Auschwitz.
Those are dead.
And he said, my grandfather died in Auschwitz too. He fell off the watchtower. This man, 4 years later, would be a producer on a movie titled Auschwitz.
Yep.
I highly doubt that it is any way tasteful.
Yeah. Also, in a movie called Blubberella, he is Adolf Hitler.
And he has people dressed up as Nazis in this movie for no reason.
For no reason. Because it's supposed to be it could just been a normal Oktoberfest kind of fucking thing. And then nope. Everyone has to wear a swastika. It just dawned on me.
Yeah, why were they dressed up as Hitlers?
It wasn't a neo-Nazi party or something weird like that. It was just a supposedly German fest loosely with weird Nazi undertones, but the punchline makes it seem sorry, there is no punchline. It just makes it seem oh, everyone's okay with it.
The assumed premise that you're okay,
or the punchline is
haha,
it's so bad, Nazis so bad.
And again, I don't want us sounding if you're out there, audience, and you have gotten this opinion that we're being wet blankets or something like that. Maybe you don't agree with how this movie does stuff. I implore you, watch it for free. Give Tubi those ads views or whatever. I got a bunch of ads for depression supplements. I don't know about you, but it was only for women though. So I'm well, okay. I don't know if this affects me then or whatever. Maybe I don't know. I don't have depression. Maybe it's trying to convince you have depression, so then you can buy the supplements. Watch snippets. Do something. Don't actually give money to anything related to this project, regardless. But you need to see some of this because it is so awful. It's terribly done. Everything about it's bad. But when we really say that there's often no punchline, is just the premise and the shock value is supposed to be enough. If you find that funny, if you find this movie funny, because you can find shock value funny, it depends, again, on context or whatever. But if you find that type of stuff in this movie funny, you need to look inward and look to another podcast because I guess we're going to be wet blankets if you think that about us.
Hey,
if,
not being a Nazi isn't comedy. They're really like
just the premise alone is not good.
It doesn't make, especially.
And you linked me an article where he announced his retirement. You mentioned you with the DVD sales and the fact and of course this was like 2016, so we weren't on the film people hate the Avengers or whatever, but he throws in the Avengers under the bus, I guess, for the reason. I scrolled down in the comments, and there are people like, good, this guy fucking sucks. And there's one dude that replied to everyone, calling them the R word, telling, he looks like, people are like joking, saying that the commenter was Bull, just lashing out, but it's like, yeah, like, this is that one guy's fan. The guy's one and only fan.
Or it's him.
Or it's him, because that happens, right?
Yeah, because I guess he has a YouTube channel, which I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole. But he in that Auschwitz movie, I have more details on that.
Oh, you do? Okay.
The trailer for it has him as an SS gas chamber guard, and it contains explicit scenes of the brutalization and killing of concentration camp inmates. Bull has been quoted as saying that films such as Schindler's List no longer had the ability to reach young people, and that it was his duty as a German to make the film as a way of confronting the past. But did you have to be a Nazi, though? It's just weird that in 3 of your movies, you're dressed up as a Nazi. Just a little weird. And that you have a huge hard-on for being as, I don't know, like you said, shock value as possible. Maybe, like I said, I'm not calling him a Nazi. I just feel like there's some weird fascination, and like a lot of people who kind of go slowly down the alt-right pipeline, I just love the idea of, like, what if Nazi Germany won? Just like people who think like just, I'm not saying they're Nazi sympathizers, but there's that weird like fascination with just like,
the gravity isn't there for them on the situation where it's like, yes, you can make fun of World War II and the Holocaust. Again, context. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Content and whatever other word I had used before, because this review has drained me of anything like that. There are ways to do it, but like what you're saying is as if you and I got really fascinated with Andrew Jackson, specifically about Trail of Tears, and we're like, dressing up as him, and like just
it's
like that
the
was our
people
content.
who go to Civil War reenactments and always pick the South. One, I just find, but I'm just gonna say this as someone who's into history, stop doing that. Can we just stop doing reenactments? Who are they
They're
for?
very weird.
I don't look up pictures, visualize it. You don't need.
I think for them it's like ignoring like the potentially like, oh, I love Winn-Dixie or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
For like the same thing as like plays and stuff like that, maybe. But like,
it's just weird.
They just do it for themselves.
Yeah, I just find it weird. I think there's some weird like, I want to just pretend to kill people.
Unless there was an agreement that every time they do it, they have to switch sides.
I don't know. I just know that like and it's always like old white people.
Yeah.
It's just weird. Yeah. I don't know. Just like I said, there's just some weird things going on that make me question people's internalized feelings that maybe they have or have sympathies for. But in going to that interview, this is from Bloody Disgusting. He did also say, the market is dead. You don't make any money anymore in movies because the DVD and Blu-ray market worldwide has dropped 80% in the last 3 years. This is the real reason. That's the real reason I just cannot afford to make movies. I can't go back to student filmmaking because I have made so many movies in my life, and I can't make cheaper and cheaper movies at my age. It's a shame. I'd be happy to make movies, but it's just not financially profitable. This is one of the few times capitalism has won, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
because there's some like I just no.
We ran the man out of business.
Yeah, literally, like no one liked his shit. Like, so it stopped getting funding. I guess he reached out to Wall Street at one point. Not Wall Street, sorry, Netflix. Fucking thinking of capitalism. Netflix, and he just couldn't get a deal done. But I guess he's out of retirement now. I guess. That's the latest rumor. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know. This guy, but if you really want more details, I would just say go to his Wikipedia page, there's a section on just petition to retire, which is just fantastic. You have the whole Michael Bay stuff. He tried to get into restaurants as well. But yeah, this sucks that like he is this one just seems like a shitty person, and also is just a shitty director that he made a lot of the video game movies we have on our list, including
we have to approach this list differently now.
I know, like House of the Dead, I was looking forward to, and now I'm not. Blood Rain 2, I'm like, the first one was bad, and maybe it'll be a little bit better in a fun way. But like, no, I don't trust it.
It could be a train wreck kind of bad.
Yeah.
Can I read a snippet? Because I found his Kickstarter. By the way, you said 500,000. That was the goal.
Yeah,
it made just under 30,000, and that's why it got canceled.
The wording made me think it hit that goal.
So when you do a Kickstarter, you have to say a few basic things. You have to explain the pitch, the promise, explain what the risks are, in making the thing. And he says, for where the money goes, into the best movie ever made. Risk and chances. The risk is everybody will hate you, but the NRA will love you in being part of Postal 2. Our body count will be higher than Hiroshima and Dancing with the Stars combined. What the fuck does that mean?
Dancing with the Stars?
And don't forget September 11th didn't count because Mohammed Atta took the same steroids as Lance Armstrong, but he never lied about it. Like, this guy really thinks he's edgy. He really thinks he's being edgy.
But, like, this guy is 57 years old.
This guy's a Nazi.
I don't want to say that. I don't want to say anything. I just think that there's some weird things going on. That's all I'm going to say. When you're a Nazi in 3 of your movies, and you keep saying it's like your right to like teach the past, but the way you're teaching it to me is interpreted as it's funny. Makes me question things. That's all. It just comes down to that. If you're a Nazi in 3 of your movies, we haven't seen the 2 of them, but we've seen this one, and the punchline, like I said, I don't call it a punchline, but the joke is, haha, my dad was a Nazi.
Yeah.
But I'm teaching history. Interesting.
So this movie...
Oh, also, they kill a lot of kids in this movie.
Yeah.
For, once again, I think just the shock value.
Just the shock value of it. And so that the reporter can cry over it.
Which I'm like, okay, I get what your intent is.
Sure.
But
everyone's awful, like, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah. And, like, during that shootout, too, like, I was keeping track, of course. They only really ever showed kids getting shot. Like, bullets just hit all the kids. It's like, okay, whatever. And again, like,
also in that joke, going back to like I said, the weird Nazi thing, the one big punchline during his little speech. Wow, I can't speak. Speech there is that that everyone's like common ground is that maybe we hate the Jews.
Oh, right, at the end, yeah. What the fuck? Wow.
And there's no Jewish characters, I'm assuming, in this, unless you want to count the person who complained about the event. But like,
if there was, he would have made them very stereotypically exaggerated features and whatnot. That's yeah. No, I when that happened, I'm like, okay, here's the 2007. This is funny, right? Joke. But yeah, no, like
it's funny because like that era, right? I think was peak edgy humor because we grew up during that era. I know I used to find some of that shit funny, like Dodgeball. I watched Dodgeball like 2 years ago for the first time in a long time. I'm like, oh, this movie's super homophobic, and just didn't click to me as a kid. On because like we just don't think about it. We're like, yeah, haha, gay people, haha, oh you're gay, and like they do the same shit in this movie too. With like, oh, I didn't know I was gay. Oh, actually, I'm bi. Oh, no, I'm dead. Like, It's the whole like coming out thing because that was prime that time too. Like that was right before gay marriage was made, like legally made or whatever, federally legal. Because I know some states had it at the time, but it's just I don't know. There's like so much shit in this movie like I could spend time on, but it's not even really worth it. I just think that we can look at the man and then look at his work and see everything you need to see. Especially after Blood Rain.
Yeah, and just jokes like the cat is used as a silencer. That's just, I don't know. Like, there's all these instances where, like, you take that idea, that joke, like just the idea of that joke, and you put it in something that's better written, has something to like about its characters or whatnot. And these jokes can work in other places. A good amount of them, I would say, especially the George and Osama are in on it, and also Buds, like Buds type of thing, like that. These ideas can work in other things, but it comes down to the direction that it's given, the context of why it's being placed within the movie or game or whatever you're making. I'm just going to go ahead and assume it's a movie, in the movie that you're making, and they can work. But here it clearly doesn't, because it comes down to the man behind it all, like you're saying. I don't know, like the rest of this movie is just more of this shit, and they kill everyone.
Way too long too.
It is,
for like a niche video game one following. Like, I feel like this movie could have been like an hour and 20 minutes.
It should have been 50 minutes. 50 minutes.
Most comedy movies too, I feel like, aren't that long unless they're like really, really good or have like a long story of some sort.
You're right.
Another
because they don't need to be long. Yeah.
At least it feels that way. But this movie felt like it just kept going. I'm like, oh, is this where it ends? No. Was this where it ends? No. Yeah, I don't know. There's just like a lot of shock humor attempts in this. Very peak 2007 with the trying to be like topical with, like you said, George Bush. Yeah, and like I said, the jokes I liked I can't even really remember anymore because it's just there's so much blah during this.
Yeah. I don't, like, we could explain the rest of the movie. Everyone dies. There's lots of shooting for no reason. There's this random cafe girl. I don't know who she is, what she wants. That's just the weird U-Ball fantasy.
She's in it, honestly, for 10 minutes. Like, total screen time, I think, less than that. And they show her at the very beginning, then they never show her again, it felt like, until the end. And they're like, oh, yeah, remember her? Oh, yeah.
She was at the Germany place, just working another coffee place there.
Yeah, that's right.
Sure. And like you had mentioned too, like the credits just do longer versions of certain scenes.
It's not.
I thought when they start showing it, I'm like,
I thought it was gonna be bloopers, and then it just it's just longer. It's just
a longer version. It's like what? So, and
like,
honestly, for them, like I don't. Maybe this wasn't an unrated thing. I don't know, but I'm like, not that I want this movie to be longer, but what was the reason why this wasn't in here? Especially since you're willing to show them.
Like the two girls shot each other. Because they do, and then like they actually pointed, like basically showed a like not a plot hole, but just like a mistake in like editing or storytelling, which I didn't really realize because I didn't care about any of the characters. Was like, oh yeah, two of the girls do go missing, and they just never explain it. Oh, but in the extended scene, it shows them that they kill each other.
But what it was is that all the extended scene had that the original scene didn't was showing that they shot each other. Like you hear them and they shoot.
Oh, I don't.
And then he says, "Oh, they'll be coming back." Now, I did a lot of looking away at this movie too. When what's his name started taking a shit on the toilet, I just didn't watch at the screen because I'm like, I'm seeing a little bit too much right now, and I don't want to see this. Fuck this movie. It's at the bottom of our list.
I think. Well, Blood Rain, I think, has been like at the very bottom because it wasn't because we've seen bad movies that we enjoyed still, but like Blood Rain was just bad, boring, awful, and it's just funny to me that like it's weird how all these video game movies have like one or two of the same directors or someone's tied to one another in some way. So we've shat on what's his name a lot, the Resident Evil director. What's his name? The blanking on his name, but he's done a lot of other video game movies too. He did Monster Hunter. He did
Paul W.S. Anderson.
Yeah,
because I was gonna say the same thing. Like, I want to get down on my knees and beg for Paul W.S. Anderson's forgiveness.
Yeah,
how dare I say that this is like the worst video game movie director? No, that man is amazing. I'm looking at the movie poster for Monster Hunter on the Wikipedia, and oh my god, that is a 10 out of 10 movie right there compared to what we watched for this episode.
Yeah.
That movie had a character with emotions and a desire, a goal, and there was obstacles in her way, and she took them head on, and she got help, and there was love, loss, betrayal, emotion, and there was ambiguity in the morality on it all. And I look at this movie, and it's just like, what if I waste $15 million on my dick? That was this movie.
What if I shoot an Asian person?
Haha. Get all the people in line to get welfare so that they don't die. They're all psychopaths. Get it? Ugh. Whatever.
Yes, I think we owe him an apology. Okay, I'm still gonna say he's not amazing. I think he's done a lot of shit, but like, it's
the golf in quality alone is huge. You know?
Yeah.
His movies might not go anywhere interesting, but they go.
They work generally. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
This is wow. I don't know. It's just looks like we have a different tier, and I don't know if this movie's worse than Blood Rain.
I think it is.
You think it?
I will say that straight up
because
this
they're
movie is
definitely
worse than Blood Rain.
They were Blood Rain.
Blood Rain had vampires.
Yeah, that's cool. And they had meatloaf.
Yeah. And Michael Madsen was drunk. Not that I know that for a fact, but I know that for a fact. And that's funny to me. That's unintentionally funny to me than this movie. Oh. Yeah, so
oh yeah, his next movies. Here we go. Next movie is Rampage 4, which is not related to Rampage, the video games, luckily.
Right.
The New Blood, and Germany in Winter.
Yep, he's got a bunch of video game movies on our list. All of the cool Halloween ones we had planned were all his shit.
Dude, I'm so pissed.
I am upset.
I'm so pissed because I love my Halloween. I love my horror.
We fucked up. We did the 2 Resident Evil movies out first.
Fuck.
You know? We don't have any good ones now. Unless we can just pretend that Street Fighter Alpha the movie and Tekken the motion picture are Halloween movies.
Yeah, do they wear Halloween costumes in it at least? Or is it set during October? Something that we can stretch it?
Something.
I'm so bummed because that's my favorite genre.
He did the In the Name of the King movies, which are also in this era of 2000.
He did Alone in the Dark as well.
Yeah. I listed them all off. He did these rapid fire multiple times a year. On looking at our list, this man had several millions of dollars and flushed it all down the toilet for something only he liked. And normally I would say that actually makes a great artist. You make the thing you like and people will appreciate it later down the road. You know what I mean? If it's good, but like not him. Bad call. Why don't you take your Nazi money and donate it?
Well,
because whatever he said, like, what else is the money going to go for? You got to put it something.
Maybe to all the families that, that lost family members in the Holocaust. Maybe that is where the money should go. That's the punchline.
The fact that this guy was, he just self-aggrandized, congratulated himself for being in this movie. You know what I mean? Like, as himself. And then, like, some dude...
That whole scene did feel like, now reading all the Michael Bay stuff, that honestly seemed like just like, I need to put myself on a pedestal and, like, this is my pickup, or my stand-up routine. This is where I'm going to pick myself up and see how great I am. You know, like, just...
Fuck
the more
guy.
now with like more context, I feel like that's honestly, I feel like he probably wasn't even supposed to be in this, and I feel like he just put himself there, and because he's like, yep,
because he can.
Yeah.
Fuck.
As of June 2022, he supposedly his net worth is $12 million.
How?
Well, he says he's done funding his movies because one of them took $15 million, so he definitely lost some money there.
Hey, sit on your Nazi gold, and I guess just fuck off. Well, I mean, the rest of his movies are still on the list, so we just gotta approach this in the future of, like, knowing what we get into, and you have the scale. He gets his own little scale at the bottom of the trash bin. Postal's at the bottom. Blood Rain's right above that. Can't wait to watch House of the Dead 1 and 2, and Alone in the Dark 1 and 2, and Blood Rain 2 and 3, and In the Name of the King 1 and 2, and I don't know if there's more.
I don't get how he got all these properties. Oh, I did read. I forgot to mention it. I don't remember where I saw it. I think it was Wikipedia. He did reach out to Kojima to do a Metal Gear game. And Kojima said, and you know what, I think Kojima, I don't remember the exact quote, but I do remember he did say that, like, we don't want to work with this man, basically.
Good. I mean, it's kind of funny because what was there a year attached to this?
I think this was mid-2000s, so around the time.
Okay. Because in the early to mid-2000s, in between Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, Kojima did a partnership with Nintendo. Nintendo was going to publish a Metal Gear Solid 1 remake for the GameCube, and they got a studio called Silicon Knights to make it. Silicon Knights, after the Metal Gear Solid 1 remake, which is called Twin Snakes, is not very good. It's not goofy in the ways Kojima is goofy, etc. It's pretty bad. They made one interesting game, and that's why they got attention for this, called Eternal Darkness. And after that, Silicon Knights made only bad games, really, really bad games. They stole Unreal Engine 3 code. The fact that, like, their game Too Human on Xbox 360, Judge ordered all copies to be destroyed because they stole Epic Games' Unreal Engine 3 and lied about it. That main dude, his name is Dennis Dyack, is a U-ball type of person where, like, nobody likes him. He's a pretty shitty person. He makes awful things. He's proud of the fact that he's an awful person, and he sits on YouTube and rants about everyone else in his field. And that's his fame now, is he sits on YouTube and rants about the video game industry. You know? And, like, hey, there's a lot of people that are like that now. The God of War creator and the Twisted Metal guy is one of those types of people now, or it's all they kind of do. And this U-Bowl, it's just like the market now he sits in.
Yeah, I found it. It was from 2006. And it was...
What I wanted to say this was, I wonder if that type of interaction, him seeing anything U-Bowl related, made him be like, fuck no. You know?
Yeah, he said... Kojima basically said... Because basically there was rumors that he was going to direct a movie. I believe it was Metal Gear. And he says... Kojima said, absolutely not. I don't know why Uwe Boll is even talking about this kind of thing. We've never talked to him. It's impossible that we'd ever do a movie with him.
I love it.
That is the most, like, nice way of saying this guy didn't, like, just, no, fuck this guy. We're never doing this.
Yep.
So, shout out to our boy
February
Kojima.
2006. Okay. So, yeah, this is definitely after what I'm talking about, so, yeah.
I guess he's also gotten, like, all those, like, kind of award shows that for, like, worst movie, he's gotten a lot of those too.
Oh yeah, the Razzies and all that.
Yep, he got a Razzie nomination for sure.
Well, yeah. So what this means is that in the future, when we go and watch one of his movies, we need to walk in with an understanding about what we're getting into. Thankfully, none of them are on the immediate list, unless for the October stuff. Ugh. So
I'm so bummed, man, because, like, horror is my favorite genre, and I was like, okay, we're gonna eventually have, like, our October, like, yearly October thing. We're gonna watch some fun, like, Silent Hills were fun, you know what I mean? And I'm like, and
we should have saved Doom for that.
Fuck,
it's on 4K Blu-ray right now. Well, I mean, there's a Dead Space movie called Dead Space Downfall. I think it's animated. There's a Dante's Inferno animated movie. You know. Okay, now I just remembered this. Blood Rain 3 is called Blood Rain the Third Reich.
Why?
Different connotations with that now that I know this man's a fucking Nazi.
I don't want to say he is. That's all I'm going to say.
Agree to disagree. All right, we don't know he's a Nazi. We think he is one.
I'm looking up his Auschwitz IMDb, like, page there, and he's, like, the main character with the he's wearing the whole get-up, SS uniform and everything.
Great.
Supposedly it is, like, trying to be, like, a serious telling of it.
I mean, if you name the movie Auschwitz, you can't have it be a comedy.
It's not a comedy. I think it's, like...
Unless it's extremely successful at being it. Like, 99% chance it's not going to work out. Random miracle. You know what I mean?
It says the film was virtually ignored throughout its production until the release of its first trailer, in line with which was hugely controversial, as director Uwe Boll was lambasted for shooting a short cameo of himself, which included in the trailer in which he plays an SS officer who appears to be falling asleep while on guard outside a room of which masses of people are being gassed to death in. Critics attempted to boycott the movie after the release of its gruesome trailer. And actually filmed in the same exact location sets for Blood Rain: The Third Reich in Blue Barella, which was where he dressed up as Hitler.
Great. Well, this was a fun episode. Any closing remarks?
You can just, dude, there's a whole just treasure trove of just like shit on this guy. I just keep going down. I spent an hour earlier, and I still feel overwhelmed with the amount of just, oh boy.
Dude, yesterday, I'm done streaming. Yesterday, of the time of this recording, I'm done streaming, and I'm like, all right, my PS3 is getting way too hot. I think this is dangerous. I can't use this one. So I'm not going to stream a PS3 game. I'm going to do something more a bit relaxed. And then I'm done with the streaming. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I have to watch this movie. So I pull out of the freezer the like quarter of the pint of ice cream I had left. And I'm sitting down. I'm like, it's going to be fun. Like I know this is a goofy, stupid movie. I don't remember anything about it. Like, this is going to be just like a whatever type of time. I'm glad I don't have to write notes about these movies like I do on the Vin Diesel ones. And then, again, 30 seconds in, I'm like, is this a 9/11 joke? This really is not. We're at the time of history where you can pretty much make a lot of safe 9/11 jokes. They can range in intensity.
We've made so many on the, like, I feel like we somehow always find a way to connect it to 9/11, right? Because we were both mentally fucked up by it, like everyone else was in this country.
Sure, but even then, like, there's enough distance between it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But like, even then, I'm like, I don't know, and I'm like. And then, like, a bunch of disgusting shit happens, and I'm like, I'm eating ice cream out of the pint itself. I'm like, well, I'm throwing this out now. I've kind of lost my appetite from what I'm seeing. Thanks, Uwe Boll. Nazi ass. All right, well, this has been a not fun episode of the Sonic Movie Show. The show can be reached on Twitter at Sonic Movie Show. I'm on Twitter at Ethan Absolutely. And Devin is on Twitter at CursonaFun. Don't tweet at us if you liked this movie. If you didn't like this movie, please share your thoughts on his other movies if you've had the unfortunate displeasure of watching them.
Honestly, I would recommend from here on out, any of his movies that we review, just don't watch the movie and just listen to our show.
Just listen. Hey, like, we literally took a bullet for you. The show is on TikTok at Sonic Movie Show.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know what you think if you watched this movie as well. We're going to see you next time.
Unless we get a cease and desist or whatever from him, he might be looking for hate.
Probably.
I kind of hope.
I'll take this fucker to court. Have a fantastic day.